right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Indie Talk Sports. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. My name is India Durham. I'm your hostess with the mostest and your favorite reporter. And today I have with me the beautiful and extremely talented Emma Pavlik.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited to be
How are
here.
you? How are you doing today?
Good, good. Yeah, it's been a pretty crazy week. We just had a track meet yesterday
Mhm.
and the weather was terrible. So that's just how it is though. We've yet to have a track meet with nice weather. Hence the reason basketball is my favorite sport. I know that there's not going to be rain in the gym.
Exactly. So, just kind of going right into it. So, a dominant basketball player and track runner throughout high school and college. What are your takeaways from playing in Beaver and running in Beaver that you kind of bring into with your career as a pioneer and being in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I mean, I think a huge part of being a player, a runner, and a basketball player in Beaver. One of my favorite things about that was the fact that I was a leader on both teams. And I kind of strive to do that wherever I'm at. I always want to lead by example. Whether that's being a team captain or that's just being a good friend when your teammate needs it.
Right.
Sports, there's a lot more to it outside of the performance and the practices. I mean, you're with these people every single day for hours a day. So you really do build extremely important and valuable bonds that you're going to have for the rest of your life. So for me, the key piece of it that I especially brought from Beaver up to Point Park was being that person that people can always turn to and trying to lead by example and being someone that people can lean on.
That's admirable. So being a leader and having to deal with different personalities, be the bigger person, even if there's a situation where you're not wrong or you're just trying to get the team to understand, how do you manage that? How do you work with that without trying to be deemed as the bad guy, or how do you work
Yeah.
with that?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a struggle. When you take on that role of being a team leader, that's just one of the things that comes with it. So I've kind of accepted that throughout my years. But I will say the number one thing that kind of helps me and everybody else see past that is the fact that we all have the same goal at the end of the day. I mean, we're all here to get better, and track, obviously it's more individual at some points, but at the end of the day, we're aiming towards conferences to win. Same thing with the basketball game. You get there, you got 60 minutes, and we all are there to win. So when it comes to preparation, any type of practice time or stuff we do outside of games, you know, everything we're doing is leading up to that one point where we all have the exact same goal, which is to win. There's little goals you make for yourself throughout the way, like, hey, I want to, hit this stat, or I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to jump this high, I want to run this fast. But at the end of the day, it comes down to whether your team got a W or an L on the Point Park website. And I think that once you're able to see that, hey, yeah, we're all on the same team. There might be some issues going on right now. We might feel a certain type of way, but we really all want the same thing. I think that's what kind of propels past those, differences that we may have.
That's huge. That's huge as a leader. That's huge as somebody who really can, besides the coach, sets the tone for how that environment will be when you're playing and when you're practicing. And speaking of wins and losses, so the last game you played with the Pioneers for basketball was
Mhm.
the RC Championship semifinals against Oakland City. So
Mhm.
you and the team traveled to Indiana. You all prepped. Knowing what's on the line and knowing that this can either make or break the season. And then there was a loss of 55-74. So, as a leader and just, for the entire team, what weight did you feel, knowing that that was it?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. When you get to that point,
Hmm.
obviously losing sucks. Nobody wants to lose. But when you get that wave of reality hit that, hey, like, this is the last game I'm gonna play with these seniors, and this is these seniors' last game ever. That's the biggest, weight that hits you. You'll get over the win or the loss, regardless. People don't always remember every single game. They look at the season, and I think overall we just had a fantastic season, and we did a lot of things that people didn't expect us to do. So after that game, we really took time as a team and the coaching staff to just reflect on our year throughout and, be grateful and proud of ourselves for what we did throughout the year and try not to let this one game where, we slipped up be the determining factor of how we felt about the season.
Absolutely, and even through the loss, like, what was the preparation process for that game? Like, what do you felt like, "Oh, maybe this is what happened," or what we
Mhm.
could have did better that we tried to work on? Like, what was going on with that?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we did all we could when it came to preparation. We were in the gym, we were grinding, we were focused. I don't think it really was the fact that we weren't prepared. I think that our coaching staff really did put us in the position to win that game. I think it just came down to we weren't able to perform that night. That happens. You can't have, a night where every single person is on every single time. And that's just happened to be one of those nights where a lot of us weren't on. It wasn't our best game, and things didn't crumble the way we wanted to throughout the time. And they started out really strong. And when you start out with a lead like that, even though you can come back from that, it's very hard on you as a player and a coaching staff whenever you're down by that much to keep that energy going and enthusiasm. Is like, hey, like we still got this. And we fought till the very end. We never gave up. It would have been easy for us to just roll over there and let them blow us out by 50, but instead we continued to fight. We would close the gap and then the gap would go again. And it was just one of those games, not much more you can do. I think we were ready. I think we were prepared. It just, the ball didn't go in the hoop for us the way that it always does. So
Well, like you said, that loss, wasn't the viewpoint of the entire season because you ladies worked hard. You all did the thing. Y'all were killing it. So I wanna just say congratulations for
thank
that.
you.
For no
Yeah. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that.
no problem. So, what has been your hardest moment in your basketball or track and field career? You can say both or
Yeah. Um, you know, when it comes to track and field, there's been two times where I've made it all the way, like in high school, I made it all the way to state meet. And, in college, I made it all the way to nationals. And I'm right there to win a gold medal. And I finished in second place for both of those meets, And that's a tough one because high jump is it's a different pace than a basketball game. I mean, you're sitting there and you're watching your opponents go, and it's like, oh, like if they clear this, that means I have to clear this, and then there's a lot that goes into it, so it's a mind game. And you look back at it and you're like, oh, like if I would have just cleared this height on my first attempt, then I would have been the winner. And it's hard to look at that and not hang your head and kick yourself over and over and over again. And I did that from high school all the way up until I got to it in college nationals, and then the same exact thing happened at nationals. So that's definitely tough. And I don't think that sting will ever go away. And for basketball, there's a lot of things that hurt me that have hurt me in basketball. Being that I've done this sport since I was in fourth grade, there is a lot of heartbreak throughout this sport, whether it's your performance individually or a game that you lost. I'd say in high school, we lost the Whitfield championship by a buzzer beater shot. So that's a tough sting. And when it comes to college, I gotta say, like, both seasons that I've been here for basketball, both games that ended our season were probably what stung the most to me. And like I said, going back to the fact that these were my friends that I built bonds with, and they become your sisters and your family, and you see them every single day. So beyond the loss on our record, it's just the fact that, like, hey, like that's my last game with these people, and it really does, it hurts, and you don't really get over that. Even though you're still going to see these people, it's a totally different environment than being on the court with them.
yeah, I can tell you're definitely selfless person as well as player, just how you felt about the seniors and understanding that it was their last game or even just about your teammates in general and being hard on yourself. So you said you've been playing since fourth grade, right?
Yes, yes.
So talk to me a little bit about the evolution of Emma. What would Emma today tell fourth grade Emma or middle school Emma, high school Emma?
Yeah. Yeah, I think about that a lot because I look back at it, and little Emma would definitely be so proud of me and what I accomplished throughout my career as a basketball player. And I started in fourth grade, and I kind of did it because I had some older family friends that did it and I looked up to them. So I was like, you know what? Like, hey, I want to be just like these two girls. I'm going to join the basketball team, maybe make some new friends. And I mean, from the second I went to that first basketball camp, I was in love. I knew right away that this is what I wanted to do. And, you know, my family friend I was talking about, she was 4 years older than me. And I remember my first basketball camp afterwards, me and her went up to my dad and we were like, so we calculated it. If Emma starts playing now, by the time she's a freshman, my friend, I'll be a senior, and then we'll get to play together for a year. So that was like kind of the first thing that sparked it was, oh my gosh, like I'll get to play on the court with Bella one day. And from then on out, that was my goal. And we did end up my freshman year. I was starting in high school and she was a starter. She was a senior, and we got to play together and we made it to the Whitfield Championship. And that was the game we lost by a buzzer beater in. So that one definitely stung a little bit. But, you know, I still accomplished what I wanted to. And I had known that throughout my whole career, I wanted to be a college basketball player. And, you know, I was getting recruited during COVID. So it was a tough recruiting process. You know, you can't visit schools. You don't really get to the full effect of the recruiting process. So that was tough. But the fact that I am a college basketball player and I, you know, am enjoying myself and still working hard, and the type of person and player that I am, I would just, you know, I would tell little Emma to do everything that you did over again because, you know, you did something right. You're a leader on your team. People look up to you, and you know you accomplished a lot. I won a Whitfield championship in high school, and that was the first ever women's or men's basketball team at Beaver High School to win a Whitfield championship. So like that's a huge accolade that I will wear that on my heart for the rest of my life. And hopefully, you know, I've got 1 year, maybe 2 years left here at Point Park. You know, it would be really cool to do something similar, like a conference championship here at Point Park.
That's so cool. Even touching on the story of literally how you and your friend calculated, and the fact that you all calculated and it was like it came true, like the calculations didn't lie, the numbers didn't lie. No, that I can't wait to post about that because that is amazing.
Thank
But
you.
just hearing your journey, like that's truly impeccable. And then I know earlier you had mentioned just coaches in general, and I kind of wanted to touch on Coach Scarborough. So I got the
Yeah,
pleasure to interview him, and I can tell that his passion for the game and for teaching the players and for seeing you all prosper in it in excel, it's very high. So with
absolutely.
him being fairly new, tell me about his impact that he has made as a coach for this season.
Yeah, I mean, I have nothing but good things to say about Dave. He has completely, you know, turned this program around in terms of the excitement revolving around women's basketball. I mean, everything in our program like that we have right now, we have to give him credit for. He worked so hard to get that for us, and that's outside of like, you know, our wins and our record seasons. Just things like gear and, you know, social media posts and things that like the team before us didn't necessarily you know, have the luxury of getting, which is unfortunate. But I do have to give all the credit in the world for Dave for what he did for this program. And me and Dave actually go really far back. He actually recruited me for his old school. He was at Sacred Heart University when I was in high school. So he actually came and watched me play in high school and was trying to recruit me to his old school Sacred Heart. And so, you know, we've known each other for a really long time. And whenever he reached out to me and said, like, hey, you know, I might be coming to Point Park to coach. I mean, I was just so excited because I already knew what kind of guy he was. I knew he was a fantastic recruiter going through the process with him. And I just knew what he could do for this program. And he absolutely, going back to like the schedule and the wins and losses, I mean, we have just done fantastic with him being here. We've beat teams that we should not have beat. I mean, the upsets, like we've had amazing seasons on record, and we've had individual players break records under his coaching. And it's just really exciting to know that we have a coach like him who not only cares about, you know, us on the court, winning and our own individual performances, but Dave genuinely cares about us as people off the court. And, it's hard to find that in a coach a lot of the times. They're very basketball minded and that's what they're here for. But, Dave is someone that we can lean on the court and off the court. And I just admire him for that. And, if I'm ever a coach one day, which I would love to be, I would also love to be a coach where my players feel that they can lean on me in any circumstance.
Absolutely, absolutely. I can tell even from the way, like, you talk about him, I know that his impact is just very, very huge. And so I kinda wanna ask you a question. So what as I've been asking, but so what's the prep for game day? What
Oh,
music
wow.
are you listening to? What's the workouts? What's the
Yeah.
mindset, mantra, anything?
Yeah. So game days for me, I am very superstitious. So it starts in the morning. I have to have my morning coffee the same way every day. We usually have a shoot around. So before games, whether it's home or away, we typically have a shoot around or some type of thing to get our body moving. So I'll go to that, go to the shoot around. When I get to the shoot around, I have a little routine I have to do before the shoot around starts. And leading up to the game itself, I typically eat the same food. I don't always do my hair the same way. I used to do that, but now that I have shorter hair, it's a little harder for me to do my hair the same exact way every time. So I've kind of thrown that out. But I do wear the same sports bra, spandex, socks. I do the whole shebang when it comes to wearing the same kind of stuff. Um, and then me personally, I grew up with listening to my dad's music, so when I'm trying to get excited, I listen to a lot of Motley Crue. That's my go-to to get me hyped before the game. And come into the game or into the locker room before the game. Our team, we have music playing. We take our time getting ready. It's kind of fun to be in a women's locker room. I don't know if this is how all teams' locker rooms are, but we've got everyone in the mirror doing their makeup, fixing their hair. It's such a fun environment to be in. We're all singing the music, getting excited for the game. And then, immediately it's like a switch flips. And we go from having fun and getting ready and singing and dancing. And all of a sudden, we're in game time as soon as we step foot on that court. So for me, I think that it's just a balance of doing what makes me feel prepared for the game, whether that be, the fun music, dancing around, eating the same food, superstitions. But then as soon as I step on the court, it's game time. I'm locked in and it's time to think about the game and winning, and that's it.
I love that, like, it's a switch, but you're also
Hmm.
making sure that you feed yourself so that you're able to have that performance, and as I
Absolutely.
had mentioned before about just the, an impeccable season that, you ladies had this season, tell me about, like, how you're feeling just about women's basketball being so hyped now with the media and the attention that it's had this year. Does it make you happy? Does it make you frustrated because it's like, hello, we've been here? Like, how have you felt about these teams really having the spotlight on them and women's basketball, the media coverage really skyrocketing?
Yeah, I mean, it, it is just, it makes my heart insanely happy to see that the light that women's basketball is getting. A lot of that thanks to these bigger teams and these bigger star players who are really just performing amazingly, which is putting light on a lot of us. Thanks to them. And it's really exciting to see that because for a long time, it wasn't that. And I mean, even me personally, like, I didn't watch women's basketball all the time. I mean, I watched women's basketball, but it wasn't something that I was like anticipating and excited for all day. And now watching women's basketball, I mean, I'm nervous. Like I feel like it's my game. I'm so excited. Like I have a game day prep just to watch the game. So like, it totally has changed the viewership. I think that outsiders have on women's basketball. And I mean, that falls down on us here at Point Park. I mean, obviously, we're not on the big screen, but it is exciting that our program is getting more attention and the love that I think that it has deserved for a long time and it hasn't always had. I think that a lot of the time it's just looked past, and people are excited about the men's games, but they don't come early to watch the women's games. But even this year, we had so many home games where the stands were packed, and it's just so exciting being able to play in front of a crowd like that again because it was always like that in high school, and you miss that that atmosphere, that hometown feeling. And then, this year we kind of got that back. We had fans that showed up for our games, and people were excited to come watch us, and it was highly anticipated. Our games, they were exciting, they were competitive. And I think that just plays a huge part into in the future having more people come and watch us. The success we've had over the past 2 years and the fact that we're still growing is going to make people want to come and watch us. Especially with maybe being in a new conference next semester in the MEC. It's exciting now. It's new teams that we're playing. It's new people. It's new players. Everything's going to be new for us. So I think that's going to draw in viewership for us even more than it did this past year.
Absolutely. That was a huge and big change seeing the different conference and division that Point Park will now be heading to. I think it's amazing. And I think that whoever overlooked any River States and NAIA conference will soon be, coming back, running it back, because
Absolutely.
you could give up and be like, well, I'm at this level, what's next for me? But the fact that there is next, there is another,
Mm-hmm.
there is a future, and now that you all have the opportunity to excel and really accelerate for the next season, that's super, super exciting. So,
Yeah.
like, what do you think is the disconnect though between women's sports and men's sports with viewership?
Yeah. I mean, I think that most of the time, it's not even the fact that people aren't interested, or like, they don't think that we're good enough, or they don't think this. I think it's the fact that they've never even given it a chance. I
Right.
think I think a lot of the time people are like, no, like I wouldn't watch women's basketball, just because there's a stigma around it that it's not as entertaining and, as exciting as a men's game. And they're saying that without even, giving it a shot, giving it a chance, not even watching it to begin with. So they're basing an opinion off of something that they haven't even experienced yet. And I think that's big. Big time players like Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, Cameron Brink, all these really large 5-star players have switched that mindset around. For people watching women's basketball, they're like, hey, like, we actually do have these players that are really exciting to watch. And it's not just those individual players, but the teams. I mean, the games are competitive, and you bring that down to NAIA. I feel the same way about us. I think that, people don't even mind to come early for the girls' games sometimes, but sometimes they'll catch the end of a game showing up for the men's game, and they're like, oh, wait, this is a good game. Like, we should have stayed for the whole game. We should have got here early. And I think that was a huge change for us this year. I mean, our fans that we had in the stands, like I said, had just propelled forward. We had so many people come to our games and so many people be supportive of us this year. And I think all it took was for them to give us a chance. And I think that once they gave us that chance, that opportunity, the mindset totally switched, because we are an exciting team to watch. We do put up a lot of points. I mean, we had multiple games where we put up 100 plus points. You don't see men's teams doing that, honestly, in the conference. Like, you really don't. It's very rare. And we were doing that almost consistently at the beginning of the year. So, I think it's exciting that people are changing their mindset on it.
Right.
I think it's sad that it took this long to get to that point, because I think that a lot of really great basketball was missed out on. But, you have to just look forward into the future and be excited, for what's to come at this point.
Absolutely. And I think you touched pretty much all the main points on how, just try. Just try it. We're people too, and we
Mhm.
play a great game, and it shouldn't be like I don't want to watch it just because of our sex and who we are. So absolutely.
Absolutely.
So you have a lot on your plate, and now you're in the track season and you qualified for nationals. Congratulations. That's super.
Thank you.
How do you manage training and playing the basketball season, and then once that's over, going straight into the track season? Or do they sometimes like overlap, or how does that work? How do you manage it?
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough, because basketball is a very tolling season on your body, but also your mental. I mean, we are in season for a very long time, and basketball is a very physically taxing sport. It's very competitive. There's a lot of contact, easy to have injury. So it is difficult to manage doing two sports. Last year, I did go to an indoor track meet during basketball season. I went to that one indoor track meet, jumped, qualified for indoor nationals, and then went to nationals, which was exciting. It's a cool thing to do, but I didn't get the chance to do that this year because we did go further for basketball. And for me, basketball takes priority. So I had to finish my basketball season out before I could, no pun intended, jump into track season. Um, and it's hard because it is a totally different training. I mean, for basketball, I'm trying to be stronger and bulk up and be someone who can move someone on the court. But then whenever I get to track season, as a high jumper, you got to thin out, you got to get lean, long muscles. So as far as like the physicality of it, and my body has to change from one thing to another thing fairly quickly in order for me to be successful in track. And it's also difficult going from having a season that's long, that is that long, and then jumping right into another season. It's tough on your body and your mind, but I've been doing that my whole life, so it's not anything crazy. Like when people are like, I don't know how you do it, I don't know how you do it. For me, it's just second nature. I've just always done it. I can't imagine like my life not busy like that and not going right from one season to the other. It's just what I know at this point. But yeah, I'm super excited. I came in this year, my first meet of the year, and qualified for nationals, which was great, super exciting. And that's just exciting because I came right in and I didn't really have any practice or anything, and I was able to do that. Because high jump for me is like muscle memory. I've been doing it since seventh grade, so it's one of those things like a foul shot. I'm always just going to be able to line up and shoot it. Muscle memory. Same thing with high jump. I'll just be able to go and jump. So that's one of those things where I'm super excited, but I'm also not satisfied. I jumped a nice height, but I would like to jump higher. Hopefully coming up here within the next meet or two, especially at conferences. I'd like to win conferences and then, do really well at the national, championship. So we'll see. I don't want to jinx myself, but I'm hoping that I do well at conferences and that I have a good little run at the, national championship. And, I'm just proud of myself regardless that I was able to come in and qualify like that right off of basketball.
Absolutely. Just like I said, amazing. I know I keep complimenting you, but it's like, wow. And I love how your body's kind of, it's like a choreography. Like your body's like,
Mhm.
okay, I understand what season we're about to go into. So this is all muscle memory and you're kind of just doing a thing. And that's just the life of an athlete. So even through training for all of that, what does Emma's off season look like? What are
Yeah.
doing in the off season?
Yeah. For me, when it comes to off season, like when track and basketball are done and, we go home for the summer, my main focus is basketball. That's what I'm preparing for. That's what I'm practicing for because, as soon as you get back on campus, we're right back into season. So for me, basketball is around the clock. It's all the time. I'm always practicing basketball. High jump and track is something that whenever it's time for that and it's time for me to flip that switch, I can do so. But I don't do much for high jump outside of the season. Honestly, it like I said, it's a muscle memory thing, and with basketball being my top priority, that's something that I enjoy the most, and it brings me the most happiness and peace. So I spend most of my time working on that, practicing that, and getting ready for the season, the very next season, since that'll be the next thing that comes up. But yeah, I actually this year I hope this summer to work with some kids. Eventually, I want to start my own basketball camp that I do throughout the summers, which I think would be really cool. And like I mentioned earlier, I mean, one day my end goal would to be a coach. So I think it's exciting for me personally because I'm still a player working on myself for the off season, but also getting the opportunity to work with younger players and inspire them and be someone that they can look up to, I think is really exciting. And I would love to get the ball rolling on that sooner rather than later for myself.
Right, and you talked about inspire, so and growing up in Beaver, so how has that inspired you? How has that impacted you as a person, as a player?
hmm Yeah. Going to Beaver High School was almost the most perfect experience I could ask for from a basketball standpoint. My high school basketball coach, I cannot speak highly enough about Coach Greg Houston. He propelled my love for the game through the roof, and he just had so much faith in me and trust in me, and he just instilled this leadership that into me that I still carry with me to this day. And I couldn't have asked for a better high school experience coaching wise. And, I played basketball with my best friends growing up. We were together that team was together from fourth, fifth grade all the way up to our senior year. So we had, seniors that have been together for years and years and years. And that's just something that like makes you want that again. And that carries over to Point Park. I want to feel that success and, grow up more with these athletes as people, growing as people through college, but also growing as basketball players together and, getting better and pushing each other to be better. And, Beaver also was a great place to grow up because there were a lot of amazing basketball players before me that I had to look up to. I mentioned Bella Posset and then her older sister, Lexi Posset. Lexi now plays pro overseas, and Bella played Division I basketball her whole career. And they were always people that I looked up to and I wanted to be like. So it was really great for me to have role models that were so close to me as people and as friends, but also as people who were part of the program at Beaver and, made me want to be successful for them, make them proud.
Absolutely. So now as we kind of gear towards the end, and I know you mentioned coaching and starting your own basketball camp. How is that looking? What pushed you to be like, you know what, I want to coach in the future, or I want to present this opportunity for kids?
Yeah. I mean, I've always known since I started basketball, and I told you that love had sparked. I've always known that I wanted to do something for the rest of my life that involved basketball, whether that was playing pro overseas after college, whether that's becoming a coach, whether that's having camps in the summer, however that looks for me. I just know that I want basketball to be in my life for the rest of my life. And what really propelled me to do that was how I mentioned I've had amazing coaches that really just propelled my love for the game and made me a player and a person that I am proud of. And I want other young girls and boys, I want everyone to have the opportunity to feel that the way that I did. And I think that I have the ability to inspire people and coach in a very positive way that uplifts players and, pushes them to be their best, but also makes them feel good about themselves. I have had a terrible experience at my first college I was at as far as coaching. And I just know that I would never, ever, ever in a million years want another athlete or student to go through that experience. And I think that's also a huge part of me wanting to coach is because I want to be a coach that inspires and uplifts and makes people love the game instead of making them lose love for the game. And unfortunately, I think that there are too many coaches out there that don't uplift their players and don't propel the love for the game. And it's just sad seeing so many people fall out of love with the game. And I just want to be an outlet and a tool for these athletes to use to get better and to accomplish their dreams. And I really do believe that I could do that for people.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that even listening to you, I admire is the fact that you bet on yourself. You bet on your talent, your confidence, your ability. And I love that about that. And especially speaking to so many athletes, that is such a fact that the coach can make a player
Mhm.
really lose touch with the game and lose the love for it. So the fact that you want to be the change that you wish to see and that you wish you would have had previously, I mean, that speaks so much on your character.
Thank you.
All right, girlie, you're welcome. Just tell me some words of encouragement that you would give to a young girl or even somebody your age and your position, to just keep going.
Yeah. I would say that the biggest thing is heart and hustle will surpass, talent a lot of the time. You don't always have to be the best player on the court at all times in order to get to where you want to be. Growing up, my dad always said the cream rises to the top. So, even though you know what you can accomplish right now, maybe there's not a coach that's betting on you or giving you the chance, or maybe, you need to get better and you want to get better. It's just how you do so. And I would say that the number one thing is that you have to have heart and love for the game because it is not easy to basketball is not an easy battle to go through in all aspects of the game, mentally, physically. It's a very taxing game. So you really have to have the heart for the game and want to do it and want to put in the hours and hours of work and, the hustle that you have. And I think that that's a huge part of it is being a hustle player and being someone that works as hard as I can every time I'm in the gym, I think that just it's formed me into the player I am, but also the person that I am. Basketball has carried over into my life in so many ways. And I think that that's the number one thing about sports in general is that it really can propel you as a human outside of the sport itself. So I would say just hustle, work hard, never give up. And anything you want to achieve, you can achieve. You really just have to put the time and the work in for it. And also just be humble. You know, be humble because there are people that are going to look down on you. There are people that are going to uplift you, regardless of what anyone thinks outside of yourself. You just have to know yourself, know your heart, know your hard work and your hustle, and say, hey, like I deserve to be here and I want to be here, and let's get it done.
I love it. Heart and hustle. Come on. You better get that trademarked or something. I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much, Emma, for taking this time out of your day and your extremely busy schedule. Seriously, thank you for coming on my show. I cannot wait for people to hear your story, for people to just see another side of Emma and dive in deeper into everything. So thank you so much. The best of luck to you this track season, to you for next season for basketball, and thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun, and I'm excited too. Yeah, this is great.
Yes. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.